The Pakistan Stock Exchange, PSX, saw a sharp downturn on Monday, as the benchmark 𝐾SE100 index plummeted over 1,400 points amid renewed geopolitical tensions with India. After an early surge of 941 points, the index reversed course dramatically, closing at 114,063.90, down 1.22% for the day. Analysts attributed the volatility to a mix of strong early buying and investor anxiety surrounding the escalating regional situation. Although no major developments occurred over the weekend, traders remained cautious, fearing further conflict between the nuclear-armed neighbors. Despite the decline, analysts pointed to underlying economic strengths, including robust corporate earnings, manageable inflation, and a favorable current account balance. However, they emphasized that market recovery hinges on a clear de-escalation of regional tensions. India has banned 16 Pakistani YouTube channels, including major news outlets like DawnNews, 𝐒𝐭𝐲𝐬, 𝐃𝐚𝐰𝐬, and popular personalities such as 𝐒𝐭𝐨𝐫𝐢𝐬, citing the spread of provocative content and misinformation after the deadly Pahalgam attack. The move affects nearly 63 million subscribers across India. The Indian Ministry of Home Affairs claims the decision aims to curb communally sensitive narratives, especially in relation to Kashmir. However, critics argue the ban is a suppression of dissenting voices and independent journalism, especially as tensions between the two nuclear-armed neighbors intensify. Pakistan's media community has denounced the move as censorship, warning it undermines press freedom and open dialogue at a critical time. The crackdown follows the Pahalgam attack that claimed 26 lives, prompting India to increase security measures and tighten control over media content. Protests against the proposed construction of new canals on the River Indus have crippled major highways across Sindh, bringing cross-country transport to a halt. Despite federal and provincial governments agreeing to delay the project, nationalist parties and civil groups insist on a formal announcement before ending demonstrations. Approximately 30,000 trucks and oil tankers, carrying goods worth millions, remain stranded in key locations such as 𝐾𝐬𝐲𝐿𝐬 and Sukkur. President Asif Ali Zardari and CM Murad Ali Shah are monitoring the crisis, while the All-Pakistan Goods Transport Alliance plans further protests. Efforts to broker peace in Ukraine faced new obstacles as U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio abruptly cancelled his London visit, delaying broader talks with Ukrainian and European leaders. Despite the setback, technical meetings continued, focusing on controversial U.S. proposals that many diplomats say demand more concessions from Kyiv than from Moscow, including recognizing Russia's annexation of Crimea and dropping Ukraine's NATO ambitions. Ukrainian Deputy Prime Minister Yulia Sviridenko reiterated Kyiv's stance, stressing Ukraine would negotiate but not surrender, insisting on a full ceasefire before any territorial discussions. Meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump warned both sides to accept a deal soon or risk Washington walking away from peace efforts. Against this tense backdrop, Russian President Vladimir Putin announced a unilateral 72-hour ceasefire from May 8 to May 10, coinciding with Russia's Victory Day celebrations. The Kremlin urged Kyiv to join the truce but warned of adequate and effective retaliation if Ukraine violated it. However, skepticism remains high, particularly after recent deadly Russian missile strikes on Ukrainian cities. Trump, after meeting President Volodymyr Zelensky, questioned Putin's sincerity, suggesting that Russia's ceasefire announcement might be a tactical move rather than a genuine step toward ending the conflict. Meanwhile, the battlefield remains active, with Russia announcing gains in the Kharkiv region and full control over the Kursk region with North Korean support. As diplomatic tensions rise and ceasefire hopes teeter, the next few days could prove decisive for the future of the negotiations, and whether the war, now in its third year, will grind on or move toward a fragile peace. Tensions in the Middle East escalated as Iran accused Israel of sabotaging ongoing nuclear negotiations with the United States. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi warned that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was influencing U.S. President Donald Trump and attempting to derail diplomatic efforts, even as both sides reported cautious progress in talks held in Oman. Meanwhile, Iran's Shahid Raji port was rocked by a deadly explosion that killed 46 people, which authorities attributed to negligence. Although some speculated about Israeli involvement due to previous cyber attacks, at the same time, regional instability deepened as the United States intensified its military campaign against the Houthis in Yemen. Strikes hit a migrant detention center in Sada, killing at least 68 African migrants, though AFP could not independently verify the claim. Operation Rough Rider, as the U.S. military calls it, has resulted in over 800 targets hit since March, significantly degrading Houthi capabilities but not fully halting their attacks on ships in the Red Sea. The UN Migration Agency expressed concern over the civilian toll, emphasizing the need to protect vulnerable groups amid ongoing hostilities. Moreover, despite mounting pressure, the Houthis have continued their operations against both U.S. and Israeli interests, reflecting Iran's alleged ongoing support for the group. U.S. Central Command reported a drop in the frequency and effectiveness of Houthi attacks but stressed that more action was needed to restore freedom of navigation in the region. Meanwhile, Iran's domestic challenges, including the port explosion and cyber threats, intersect with its complex international negotiations, illustrating the growing entanglement of regional conflicts.